Shalom, shalom wa ahaba, mishpaka, shalom wa ahaba. Peace and love, family, peace and love. It's your Aknaraya ben Yaounde, Neria ben Yahuda ben Yasharel. Whatever your dialect may be, may I say shalom to you all, to the whole house of Yasharel, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, to the lands of our captivity. But the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, who the world has come to know as Christ, finds you all in peace, love, and safety in this time of judgment, chaos, corruption, and deliverance of the people of the Most High Yah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Mishpachah. I always want to take the opportunity when there's certain things in the news, if it can be used in order to be a teaching point, for how to make our community better, how to make our community better, which means helping our younger folk make better decisions than we have and the decisions that were made before us. Hallelujah. And one of those things that I feel like really needs to be pushed is how we need to marry within our own community. You understand? And with what's going on with the brother Kanye West and his recent divorce to the Canaanite woman, Kim Kardashian, this is a prime example for us to show how they use the intermingling of ourselves with the other nations in order to keep us economically stagnant, Mishpachah. Thus, you have the choice words for the title of this video. Kim Kardashian, Canaanite Coochie is a quagmire. Now, what is a quagmire, Mishpachah? Now, when I was in my music making days, I used to love keeping up with synonyms and antonyms of certain words. You know what I'm saying? So they can be used in metaphors, similes, things of that nature. So a simile of a trap is a quagmire, Mishpachah. And I use that particularly because look at the definition of a quagmire. Now, it says a soft, boggy area of land that gives way underfoot. An awkward, complex, or hazardous situation. You understand? Similar words: swamp, morass, which I'm not familiar with, bog, muddle, mix-up, mess, Mishpachah. So you understand that the quagmire of Canaanite Coochie has gotten Kanye and has gotten many of our brothers who have found themselves in money situations. It is not a coincidence that many of the brothers that you see who have made it to certain levels in this society seem to be married to certain bloodlines of people, Mishpachah. You understand? And we were specifically told by our Torah to stay away from Canaanite people. You understand? The nations that were surrounding us. There were 11 bloodlines of Canaan. There were 11 tribes or sons of Canaan. You know, 7 of them were in the land to which we warred against. And we were told to not intermarry with them in Deuteronomy chapter 7. And we're going to read 1 through 6, I believe it is. No, 1 through 4, Mishpachah, sleek out. We're going to read 1 through 4 before we go any further. Let's read. It says, in Devarim, more commonly known as Deuteronomy, it says, when Yahuwah your Elohim brings you into the land which you go to possess, he shall also clear away many nations before you, the Hittites and the Girgasites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites. Some people say that should be Horites, but the Hivites and the Jebusites. 7 nations greater and mightier than you, Mishpachah. And when Yahuwah your Elohim gives them over to you, you shall smite them and put them under the ban completely. Make no covenant with them and show them no favor. And do not intermarry with them. You do not give your daughter to his son, and you do not take his daughter for your son. For he turns your sons away from following me to serve other mighty ones, that is God's, Elohim. Then the displeasure of Yahuwah shall burn against you and promptly destroy you. You understand? Now, one of those nations at the top, the first one they mention is the Hittites, Mishpachah. You understand? Now, if you go and you research Kim Kardashian's paternal lineage, because her maternal lineage is she's just a mingled mixed seed mutt, Dutch, Irish, all that. But her father's bloodline is from Armenia. And if you look at the ancient ancestral lands of the ancient Hittites, who we were told to not intermarry, you will see that they come from the area known today as Turkey, Armenia, Georgia, You understand? Over there in that part of Asia Minor, Mishpachah. So we were specifically told not to intermarry with that particular bloodline. And mind you, Kim Kardashian, as I just said, is an Armenian. Now, I want to share with you something that came across the news that I keep up with. You understand? I'm not into the TMZ and a lot of things like that, but I keep up with stuff on stations or with apps or with news sites like Newsmax, Mishpachah. You understand? And this popped up in my feed today, and I said this is a good learning point for our brothers in the future so that we know not to intermarry with these other nations and try to find a woman who's within our nation to keep our money and wealth in our nation, even if we separate. Now this says, Ye Kardashian finalized divorce. Fair use, Mishpachah, fair use. It says, Kanye West and Kim Kardashian set up their divorce in Los Angeles on Tuesday. Kardashian will receive $200,000 per month. See how rich people always smacking us in the face? You know, I'm a fairly decent, financially stable brother. You understand? I make a little less than $100,000 a year, Mishpachah. This woman gonna get a month what a lot of us don't make a year for 4 children. $50K a child. They always smack you in the face with how poor you are. You understand? Child support payments from West for their 4 children. The couple had a prenuptial agreement and agreed to divide all assets, liabilities from their marriage of 6 years, Mishpachah. You understand? So this is how they get the brothers who were smart enough to stay out of jail. You understand? Smart enough to not get hooked on drugs. Straight enough to not become a homosexual. You understand? So if you don't fall in them 3 traps and you are smart enough to not get killed, them 4 traps, then the 5th trap is your own children, Mishpachah, in the child support system. You understand? And if we could get our sisters to stop working with that system, if we step up our game and start doing what we need to do, regardless of what any man in a black robe tell us what to do, you understand? You know, they won't be able to use that system against us, but the way that they use it against these rich brothers is even more sinister because they make sure that you marry into their communities, into the Canaanite class of people. So then when that relationship does not work and they start pulling your wealth out of you through child support, that money is not going into a black family, a Negro family, an Israelite family. You understand? It is going back into the Canaanite or the Gentile nations. You understand? So when you get that divorce, that child support and that alimony then it starts to get drained from the so-called black community and put back into the Canaanite class, back into the Edomite class, back into the Gentile nations. That is a part of the scheme, and that is why you see these women being placed in these men's lives, Mishpachah. You understand? Now, we're going to go to the oral tradition right before we get out of here. Because you always want to use different things. You understand? Now, I study, the Israelite law, more commonly known as the Jewish law, just so that it's not the know-all be-all. That is the Torah. Everything is based upon the scriptures. But we study these things so that we can learn more about the culture that has been ripped from us. You understand, Mishpachah? Even if we don't agree with everything in there. Now, the Mishnah Torah, or the Mishneh Torah, was written by a so-called Jewish, an Israelite scholar, a Spanish scholar. The Spanish and Portuguese, Yahudim, were people of color. We know this, okay, Mishpachah? This man spent out his days in Egypt. You understand? When he got ran out of Spain. But I digress. That's a whole nother story. But now, if you go to in the Mishneh Torah, in the book of Sefer Kedushah, the Sefer of Holiness, and in the first book, it's called the Hilkot Isrei Biyah, or the laws governing forbidden sexual relationships. All right? The laws concerning forbidden sexual relationships. The light kind of messing with me, but we're going to read from this, Mishpachah. And it has 37 things that are restricted by the Torah, Slikah, that are relationships that should not be entered into. And in the same list of this 37, where they tell you not to have relations with an animal, do not have sexual relations with another man. In this same list, the 24th commandment or the 24th tradition, the 24th law of the laws of forbidden sexual relationships is not to marry a Gentile, Mishpachah. You understand? That's how you know that somebody talking about that they're Jewish through their mother's line is something and a doctrine and a culture that was created by people who wanted to come in and infiltrate your kingdom, take your kingdom through your female line, thus saying that they could legitimize their foreign children through the bloodline of their mothers. You understand? That is the doctrine of a conqueror. You understand? Because our forefathers said, do not marry into these nations, because Canaanite Coochie is a quagmire. And with that, Mishpachah, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And always remember to keep the fire burning. A little more oil in my lungs. Hallelujah, Mishpachah. Keep your eyes open. Stay prepared so you don't have to get prepared. And remember that your redemption is near. Hallelujah. Until we meet again. Kumar Yasharel. Kwam Yasha'Allah. Rise Yisrael. Shalom. Shalom. Salam, Mishpachah. Hallelujah.